Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi, more Destiny gameplay. So, today I was at an event for work. It's kind of like a marketing event. And during that marketing event, I sit around with a bunch of different people in various positions in their companies, and they're at this event. And we're here to engage the public in an altruistic kind of situation where we're trying to bring out awareness and do some nice things for people. But invariably, we delve into our own little world. So you have a bunch of people coming through different things, and then you have the people that the presenters or the vendors that are sitting. So I'm part of the vendors group. And this one person is describing how they have an employee that's hard to manage, and that they do their best to keep their calm, and they go on and on and on and on. And the only thing I can think as a manager, what the person's saying is that they're the victim here. And I just want to tell you something. If you're a manager, you're never the victim. You're the person that has all the position power. If you feel like a victim when you're a manager, you're not a manager. That's just it. You have the power. You cut and dried. You want people to do what you want them to do. You just tell them to do it. And let's go through that, because a lot of people don't know how to do that. So what you do when you're talking to someone and you're going to give them an order on what to do, and I'm going to use the word order, but you're asking them to do a job or something. In the military, it breaks down to like you're giving orders. So you just give them a task to do. You give them clear direction. You don't go step by step in micromanaging, but you do kind of say if you want a particular, for example, I give the question or the scenario where I want someone to do a presentation for a customer about a technical item on a piece of equipment we're going to sell them. And specifically, the people in front of all this have talked to the customer and found out there's some key items that will determine whether they buy your widget or whatever. And so you're going to demonstrate, do a demo. You're going to demonstrate this feature benefit to the customer to get them to buy something. And when you're a manager, you're getting your employees to buy into ideas. Now, the social construct between a worker and an employee is I'm been put in charge by someone who's paying both of us, unless I'm the owner-operator. But it's the same thing. I'm in charge. Someone has put me in charge, and I'm giving you something to do, which is supposedly related to the business. When you're in an emergency, let's say, it's a medical emergency, you're going to have high degree of direction and low explaining what's going on. You hopefully will have trained with the person already, and they're going to get this order or this training, and they're going to therefore carry it out. In a case of, your general working nonprofits or for-profit companies, when a manager asks someone to do something or be there on time, they have to do that. Now, if you trust the person to go to a place and they're supposed to be there by a certain time, and they're rigging their time card and all that other kind of stuff, that, again, it's how much you set up the parameters. And really, in any situation, I want you to think about when I show you a video where I'm comparing an armor to something else. Pause the video there. Sorry, everyone. What happens is I got to tell you, and I say this over and over, what is the purpose of your build? Because if the purpose of your build is to do something, then how is the build compared to what that stated purpose was? In the for-profit world, someone will put a request for quote. They give out very detailed explanation of what they want done, and then you as a vendor provide that. Or, in the quoting for government contracts, you provide that. We don't have that formal construct between, people at work, but essentially that's what it comes down to. So you state to the person very clearly, I want you to be at X at 8 in the morning where I'm going to pay you, and I'm going to pay you mileage to that place from your home of record, because I'm having you go there. If your normal work time is 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm having you drive there to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not paying you extra overtime. I don't pay you overtime to drive to your place of business. I'm saying your place of business is destination B. You normally go to destination A. I'm going to pay you the mileage by the IRS rates, and the mileage we're going to use on Google Maps from your home address to that address. We're going to take the shortest amount of that distance, and we're going to pay you whatever the rate is, 60 cents a mile to get there. But you'll be there at 8 o'clock, and I'm not going to pay you overtime. This is all very easy. Well, if you tell someone and you're not clear, then they're going to leave their house at 7. It took me an hour to drive, so that's overtime. So then I have to drive home from that place, and then I get mileage too, and. I'll tell you a story once. There was a guy I ended up being really good friends with, and he was E3 on the ship I was on. He had been an E5 in the Army. He came into the Coast Guard. He was an E3. He knew what he was doing on the ship we both were on. He knew more about that ship than I did, but I was in a position over him. I go up here to try to kill this guy, and it's a good place to get a lot of stuff, but I'm doing a lot of different things, so I end up jumping back down, but you see what I do up there. So eventually, the command has me come in. I'm a brand new BM3, bosun mate, 3rd class. I'm an E4. I'm a petty officer. I am in the non-commissioned leadership class of other people. So the command on that ship asked me to, get control of this guy. I don't know if I told you this before, but my first boss was kind of a yeller. I admired him quite a bit, so my first management style was to yell. And so me and this guy got into it all the time. We eventually tried to reason with each other, and I probably had that new that new car smell. As a new petty officer, I'm trying to stretch my wings, and he's kind of resisting that. But eventually, through a lot of just brute force, I get him to do what I need him to do. Like all the time. We kind of have this standoff. But I don't feel that good about it. As in, if you have to coerce someone all the time to do things, that's not really the best way. And that's not how my boss had to do to me. My boss, even though he maybe yelled at us when we weren't doing the right thing, but he didn't have to yell at us just to do the basic job. So we pulled into Rockland, Maine. It was a place that had a very high tide. The tide went up and down maybe 6 feet. Maybe it was 12 feet. That had been a difference of 24 feet. I don't think it was that great. Maybe it was 8 feet. It was a huge drop between low tide and high tide. So you always had to tend the line. So we moor up there around 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I stay in the boat a little bit, and then I'm going to, there's like a restaurant on the pier or near the pier. Not much there. And this seaman's sitting in there. And I see he invites me over, and he sits down, and I notice he has a tattoo, and I say, hey, what's that tattoo? And we start talking. And as we talk more and more, not as professionals, not as BM3 to seaman, but as Ronan Kazi to Ronan Kazi worker, he's human. So as we talk more, I tell what the command has wanted me to do with him. He goes, well, those guys are all fucking putzes. They used to have me doing that. Now you got here and you're doing it. I don't have a problem with it, but they're kind of shitty scumbags. And I go, So that changes my attitude towards that person. So I take a different tact. He changes a different tact with me. We kind of are on the same side now. We're not against each other. So we move on. He still did some crazy ass shit. So One weekend, I wasn't around. I was off on Friday, and the officer of the day, the OD, gave him a job to do. He didn't complete the job, and then they gave him non-judicial punishment. And in the seagoing services, they call that captain's mast. It's not a court's martial. It's not a court. The captain of a ship is allowed to give non-judicial punishment to a person. And there's like a little kind of procedure. It's not a trial, but it's as if it was a trial. And he chose me as his mast rep. And that means he was going to the captain's mast and I was going to represent him before the mast. And so that means I was going to be going directly against my boss and the captain of the ship. Right? So at this point, I don't think they realize we've talked, but things have turned and they're kind of thinking this is going to be a slam dunk. They're going to get this guy out of the Coast Guard, blah, blah, blah. And I proceed to put on a pretty good defense for him because I just sea lawyer the shit out of it. I say, well, did you tell him? Did you explain it? And the thing is, no, most people don't give very detailed orders. They don't say specifically what to do. Here's the tools. Here's how I want you to do it and do all that stuff. Because that's a pain in the ass on how to manage people. But if you have people that are pains in the asses, that's how you have to manage them. Or if you have kids, you have to be really specific. Maybe if you can pick 3. I want one thing out of 3. I want you to be on time to get home. That might be 1. I don't want you to do any drugs. That's 2. I don't want you to get pregnant or impregnate someone. That's 3. Right? Which one of those 3 do you want? And it might not be that cut and dried, but it might be that cut and dried. So this person sat all day complaining about their employee, but really they're the manager. It was really their fault. And I think I've told you that before. You might not be a leader, but it's easy to be a good manager. You got to remove obstacles. One of the things removing obstacles is making everything clear. Additionally, we ended up talking about a bunch of different things. It's funny, there was a woman in there, and I kept asking her why she went to college. She made a statement about her youth, and it seemed totally opposite, so I questioned her, and we kind of had some self-discovery there. It's probably something she didn't know, but she was okay to share it, and it was interesting, and everyone kind of listened to that. And so when you listen to these things where I'm telling you, and I'm trying to provoke thoughts out of you, I do that everywhere all the time because I'm trying to take what I've learned. And this woman, I found out she didn't look it, but she was quite a bit older than me. She looked like she was my age, but she was 70. And I paid her a compliment. I guess you're allowed to do, and I said, you don't even look close to 70. But she still was shackled in her life. She had started off, she wanted to do one thing, and she never did it. So to me, that's kind of sad when I meet people that don't at least stick their foot in their dreams, dip their toe in the water, and try things. Now, I'm not going to change a 70-year-old's opinion on what they're doing. She said her children all do that. Her children might be as old as me, for all goodness sake. So what's the point of all this? You never stop leading. If you're a leader, you're always going to lead. And if you're a decent leader, you're going to be a better leader over time. You're going to be able to help have the right conversations with people if you listen to them. Sometimes they don't need you for that. Listen, everyone needs something. Maybe they need praise. Maybe they need acknowledgement. Maybe they need some positive things. Other times they need a boot in the ass. Other times they need a word. And this is what I do all the time with people. And yes, I don't think I'm always right, so I think about all this, and I think about when I'm driving home, did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Is this the most appropriate thing? And so there's other people that are, Ultimate Shields person had a great video on this about, always passing on things, and I agree with that 100%. So are you doing that? I try to surround myself with people that do that for me, and most of the people around me do. So thanks to all the people that do that in my life. And this Ronan Kazi signing off. Subscribe, like, hit the ring bell, do it all. Ronan Kazi out.